Hello everyone, this is our last and final week. All of your assignments looked good for last week. I just wanted to comment on the nature versus nurture discussion forum. That was actually a true case. In most states, 6-year-olds are not considered able to have the cognitive capacity to be liable for the crimes that they commit. And federal law is that children under 7 cannot be guilty of a felony. So the child was removed from the home, but he was never charged with murder. The owner of the gun, who was the mother's boyfriend, served 2 years for involuntary manslaughter and has been released since. In the email, I've got a link to the Wikipedia page if you're interested in knowing more. In this case, the court clearly identified the adults rather than the child as the problem, but this isn't always necessarily the case in extreme incidents of child aggression, so it's important to kind of constantly be thinking about this. Okay, for week 5, our schedule is a bit different because classes end on Thursday, which means that all of your regular coursework must be turned in by Thursday at 5. We're covering 2 chapters this week. The first is social psychology, and I have a lot of examples of classic social psychology experiments as well as a few new replications of the concepts. I also have an optional activity that will help you understand your implicit biases, which is kind of an interesting test to take. Your assignment for this chapter is a forum post designed to help you think about your attributions. So basically what you're going to need to do is come up with, for each of these scenarios, you'll need to think about explanations of a given behavior for yourself, how you'd explain it if you did it, versus how you'd explain it if you watched others do it. And then, so I've got 4 of those, and then you also need to make up your own scenario where you might make different attributions if it was you versus another person. Then I want you to also make sure that you write some concluding statements about whether or not you think you've made the fundamental attribution error and why, and as usual, respond to 2 people's posts. The second chapter is on psychological disorders. I have a few video examples here. Your first assignment your assignment is based on a short TED Talk, which is linked here. So you'll watch the talk, and then you'll post your reaction in a discussion forum. And basically in this forum, the first 3 to 4 sentences should be a summary of it so that I know you watched it. And then 4 to 6 sentences summarizing your reactions. So what signs did you see of schizophrenia? Why do you think she might have been so successful while many people with schizophrenia are not? Things like that. And then your very last, one of your last extra credit opportunities is to find a movie depicting one of the psychological disorders that was discussed in the text. So it has to be one that's covered. And write a 2-page paper relating the movie to our discussion of it. And of course you have a test for each chapter. So all of that stuff is due by Thursday at midnight. Make sure you mark your calendars and plan ahead. Friday is technically our exam period. There are 2 activities that are both optional that are due on Friday, and they're due Friday at 11:55 p.m. First, for extra credit, there's an anonymous class effectiveness survey. We don't do course evaluations in the summer, and I like to learn a little bit about your reactions and what's helpful for you in an online class. So that's what that is. Next is the final exam, which is optional. You do not have to take it. If you don't take it, it won't hurt you. The test includes 100 multiple choice questions, and you have an hour and 5 minutes to complete it. If you take the exam and do better than your test average, your final exam score will count as 50% of your test average. If you take it and do poorly, it will not hurt your grade. So even if you do terribly on the final exam, it won't hurt your grade. It can only help. Remember that you can see an estimate of your grade. You can't see it on this screen, but in the upper left corner of our Moodle page called My Grades. So you can have a sense of where you stand. Also, note that the exam opens on Friday at 8 a.m. and closes on Friday at 11:55 p.m. So you must do it on Friday. I also would encourage you to study from your old tests. They might be helpful, but be aware that your old tests will disappear at 8 a.m. on Friday. So as soon as the final opens, your old tests go away. So you have to plan ahead and be studying ahead of time if you want to use those. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week. I hope you enjoyed the class, and feel free to come ask me questions outside of this class as well. Feel free to send me an email.